Life is going to hit you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith. Steve Jobs said that during his commencement speech at Stanford University in 2005. It applies whether you're the CEO of Apple, an intern in the derivatives industry, or a lawyer like I was. And life hit me in the head with a big, ugly brick. What was that brick? How did I manage not to lose faith? What did I learn from the experience that can help you as you start your careers? To answer those questions, I need you all to travel back in time with me to 2005, the same year that Steve Jobs gave his speech. I was a lawyer at a large law firm headquartered here in Chicago. I was in the financial services group, and I had a great boss and mentor named Joe. I had worked with Joe since I was an intern way back in 1992, which is probably before most of you were born. Joe gave me many opportunities to develop my skills as a lawyer, everything from crafting a good legal argument to good relationships with our clients. All of my positive qualities as a lawyer, I had learned from working with Joe. In August of 2005, the parent company of one of our biggest clients, a futures commission merchant, or FCM, called Refco, launched its initial public offering, its IPO, and Refco shares were being publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange. 2 months later, in October of 2005, Refco imploded. They announced that their CEO had been hiding more than $400 million in bad debt from Refco's auditors and investors. Redko filed for bankruptcy, and its CEO was arrested and charged with securities fraud. Fast forward 2 years to December of 2007. My boss and mentor, Joe, was indicted and charged with securities fraud in connection with his work on Redko's IPO. I got the news at work, and as you can probably imagine, I was crushed. This was somebody who I respected and admired, who had taught me the ropes, who I worked with pretty much every day, and now I'd never work with him again. By that point in my life, I had lost my mom and my dad to cancer, and my oldest sister, Mary, had been killed in a car accident. Now, this is going to sound strange, but in some ways, the loss of my mentor was harder to deal with than the loss of my family members. When someone close to you dies, there's a protocol. People send you cards and flowers and food, and we have rituals like wakes and funerals where everybody gathers together and supports you. When your mentor's indicted, there's none of that. Hallmark doesn't make a card for the occasion. Right? I had gone to a really good law school, the University of Michigan, go Wolverines. Hello. But nothing I learned in law school prepared me for this situation. Even my closest friends and family had no idea what to say to me because it was such an unusual situation. I decided to take a couple weeks off work and to read some good books. It was 2007. The last Harry Potter book, book 7, had just come out, and I hadn't read it yet. I also hadn't read book 6. Now, I need to give a spoiler alert because I'm about to say what happens in the last 2 Harry Potter books. So if you don't know, just cover your ears for about the next 2 minutes. But you Harry Potter fans will probably recall that in book 6, Harry's mentor, Professor Dumbledore, is killed. And in book 7, Harry is left to battle Lord Voldemort all on his own. So as I read those books, it dawned on me that this brick that had just hit me in the head, losing my mentor, was going to teach me something that I don't think I could learn in any other way. I needed to do what Harry did. I needed to stand on my own 2 feet and fight my own battles. I needed to be self-reliant. Sometimes when you have a really good mentor, like Joe was for me, you rely on them almost too much. You pattern your career after theirs without really thinking about what's best for you. There's an author and motivational speaker named Les Brown who summed this idea up really well when he said, "Accept responsibility for your life. Know that it is you who will get you where you want to go, no one else." This brick that hit me in the head taught me that really important lesson. It also propelled me forward right out of my comfort zone. After Joe was indicted, our practice group split up. And at that point, I didn't have any choice. I had to make a change. So I had already done work for traders and for brokers. Never gave John advice, though. So I decided that I wanted to work for a clearinghouse, also known as a central counterparty, or CCP. Now, you heard Doug compare the derivatives industry to a photo album. Well, I'm going to compare it to a gigantic mixed drink. And if it was a gigantic mixed drink, a CCP would be the straw that stirs the drink. It keeps all the ingredients blended and working together harmoniously. A CCP collects collateral from the buyers and the sellers, also known as the longs and the shorts. And it settles all the transactions that it clears on a daily basis. If a member of the CCP were ever to default, the CCP would use its own waterfall of financial resources to keep the system moving and intact. Well, luckily for me, CME was hiring. So I started working here in May of 2008. In September of 2008, Lehman Brothers, which was a clearing member of CME, filed for bankruptcy. That unleashed the financial crisis in full force. Shortly after that, the Dodd-Frank Act was passed. We were still dealing with this onslaught of all these new federal rules from the Dodd-Frank Act when another clearing member of CME, MF Global, filed for bankruptcy. So in the course of about 4 years, I learned more about CCPs and how they're regulated and the role that they play in the financial system than I ever thought was possible. That gave me courage to learn other new things. So I decided to take some classes and some things that I really enjoyed doing, like training and coaching. Then something happened that was pretty amazing, at least for me. Another CCP, the Options Clearing Corp, or OCC, created a new role in its compliance department. They were looking for somebody who knew clearing and training and coaching. So thanks to this brick that had hit me in the head, when the door of opportunity opened at OCC, I was ready to walk right through it. When I agreed to give this talk, I asked myself, what's the most important thing that I learned from my career setback, the loss of my mentor, that I wish I knew when I was in your shoes, just starting out my career? And it's this. What makes the difference between people with average careers who just kind of show up for their job every day but don't really love what they do, and people with thriving careers who do love what they do, is the ability to embrace career setbacks. Everybody has talent. Each one of you does. But some people get hit in the head with a brick and they lose faith. One of the great things about working in this industry is that you'll have opportunities to meet people who have embraced their setbacks, who have taken what seemed like an impossibly negative situation and turned it into something incredibly positive. People like a former client of mine named Billy. Billy was a college football star. He was so talented and hardworking that he got drafted by an NFL team, the Cheeseheads, the next day that, right? But before he could play in his first NFL game, wife hit him in the head with a brick. He had a career-ending leg injury. At that point, it would have been easy for Billy to become one of those guys who you meet in a bar, crying into their beer, talking about how they could have been a contender. But that's not what happened. Billy decided that if he couldn't play in the NFL, he wanted to be a futures trader. So he took the same skills that made him a very successful athlete, the focus, the hard work, the determination, and he became a very successful trader. He embraced his setback, and that made all the difference. Now, it may sound to some of you like I'm standing up here on this platform being all this new age positivity, but I'm really not. The moments when life hits you in the head with a brick are just plain hard. I shed a lot of tears. I ate an entire package of Oreo cookies in one sitting. And they weren't just any Oreos, they were the double stuff with all the extra. It would have been easy to keep crying and eating Oreos. The harder choice was to embrace my setback. and to look for as many positive things out of it as I could possibly get. And that's what allowed me to create a career that I love. Now, you may never have a setback quite like mine or like Billy's, but it is inevitable that at some point in your career, life's going to hit you in the head with a brick. When it happens, even if you remember not a single word of mine, I hope you remember these words of Albert Einstein. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Opportunity. So when your moment comes and life hits you in the head with a brick, go ahead and cry and eat some Oreos. But then look for the opportunity. I'm not telling you that it's going to be easy. I'm telling you it's going to be worth it.